Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Bahrain Now with me, Bara Abdallah. We've got a great show lined up full of local talents, initiatives, and events from around the kingdom. All this and more right after this. Ladies and gentlemen, right now with some brilliant teams, two teams from the Chemical Engineering Department from the University of Bahrain achieved advanced spots in the Annual Students Conference in the Chemical Engineering Sports Competition. To speak more about it, we are joined here today by the members of the winning team from the University of Bahrain, Saifullah Atiyah, Batul Sadiq, and Mahmoud Abdallah. Well, good evening. How are you?
We're fine, thank you.
Great. So pretty much, congratulations for winning. That's a big pride for Bahrain. So tell us more about the competition, the conference.
First of all, thank you so much for your congrats. With regards to the competition, it's an annual competition that is held at the American Institute of Chemical Engineers conference. For the competition itself, it mainly revolves around the amine treatment processes that are used to remove toxic gases like carbon dioxide and hydrogen sulfide from sour gases, because these gases can affect the subsequent units and affect the whole plant.
Amazing.
For the controlling and monitoring, the teams are provided with a simulator. This simulator is like a control panel. Like you can see and monitor the parameters that can affect the process and affect the plant. And each team is provided with the same simulator, and they are given cases to solve. Like what if something happens at this specific time? How each team is going to interact with this problem. That's how the evaluation criteria is going to be. Like with the same problem faced for all teams, how is each team is going to treat it? And this is evaluated through the production rate, like with the required specification, which can be seen through the net income and the time spent during alarms.
Wow. You know what? At this point, I'm really happy that I took my chemistry class, because it was like I would not be able to catch up, and all that. Me being as well involved in a lot of activities with the Supreme Council for Environment, I can actually tell how important the things you said. Otherwise, I'll be like, what is he talking about?
Exactly.
But knowing what you're coming through, where you're coming from, and the things you've been through, now I can understand how important everything you're saying. It is a big deal. The thing is that you go to the simulation, understand what's happening, and the whole air quality monitoring and all of that is a big deal for us. So thank you so much for making this happen. Now, for winning the competitions, again, congratulations. I want to know about the preparation. Saifullah, how did you prepare for all of this?
Yeah, regarding preparation, first of all, the American Institute of Chemical Engineering, they prepared this simulation software that simulate mainly two units in industrial chemical plant, that are two units. First unit called absorber and the second unit called stripper. These units used to remove this sulfur component from our gas in the process, for example, natural gas or any other gas in our process. And to remove this, we need this amine. This amine solvent takes the sulfur out of the process. And you don't want to lose this amine, so you use a stripper unit in order to separate this sulfur to treat it alone and take your amine gas again. So regarding the preparation, it was mainly on how to become familiar with this simulating software and how to easily deal with different situations that you may face in industry using this virtual reality.
Wow.
So our computers. And also we started looking for literature, searching for information about this. Also American Institute of Chemical Engineering, they provide Mr. Matthew, who tends to make regular meetings through Microsoft Teams, so we can participate and do some exercises, and this is all help us into preparing well to this competition.
Again, I'm happy I took that chemistry class. It was like, because again, hearing you right now, and what you guys been going through and all the things you have to prepare for, it just showcases like how many technicality goes behind the things that you have to do to, and otherwise protect us from a lot of things here in the environment itself. When it comes to chemical engineering, a lot of people don't understand exactly what you go through, but hearing you right now, you're like warriors, but behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
In more in a chemical point of view, I would say. So amazing job. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Now, Betul, as you know, for the qualifying rounds and all of that, how did that go through?
So the first level is like a filter to eliminate the weak teams from the competition. It consists of 2 rounds, and in each round we are faced with the problems and we have to find a way to solve these problems. And the second level, it's like a knockout stage, and each 4 teams compete against each other to win the competition.
Okay.
And then it's like basically we're faced with the problems where we have some disturbances and failures in equipments and valves. So what we did to win is that we distributed the units among us. So each of us had to focus on a specific unit,
Okay.
and once he noticed a change, we all discussed the action to be applied.
Okay. Wow. So there's a lot going on, a lot of stress maybe,
Yeah.
to keep yourself in a position. So my question to all of you right now, what got you to the competition and how did you feel getting in? So Mahmoud.
Actually, they start to learn new things and to apply what you have learned. As I said previously, we want to apply what we have learned. Okay, we know these things. We know that, for example, we're studying in chemical engineering, we're studying thermodynamics, we're studying transfer phenomena. We know the basic principles, but how are we going to apply them in industry? How are they going to affect other units when one unit is affected, how the other is going to respond? The ambitious and our need to learn was our first.
Okay, it's your hunger to learn more.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Beautiful. Saifullah.
It was a nice chance to link between what we have studied in university and the real life. I was always worried how I'm going to work in future, how I'm going to apply all of these principles that I studied in university.
Right.
So it was a nice chance to become an operator in a plant who face many problems.
Right.
Of course, nothing is good always.
Of course.
Always we face some problems, failures, whatever. So that's why it was a nice chance to link for it. Also, I found it good to also give this experience to my friends, my colleagues. Maybe we are thinking to organize some meetings with my colleagues to also teach them how to use the software, how to become familiar with dealing with different situations that you may face in industry. So I feel it is a nice chance to do something like this for me and for my colleagues also.
Well, thank you for doing that actually, pretty much getting in and winning first place. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Betul, what got you into the competition?
I would say curiosity. I have always seen this type of competitions going into conferences before Corona. So I have always wanted to participate in one of them. So when I got the chance, I was really happy to go into one, especially that it's a kind of virtual reality, let's say, where you get to practice without causing an explosion maybe.
Or catastrophe, being the newspapers the second day. What happened? Betul pressed the wrong button. I love that. So curiosity. Everybody got in for the curiosity and actually applying whatever you learned into a virtual reality world.
Yeah.
And with all of that, winning first place. How do you feel about that, Mahmoud?
I'm happy actually, and I'm proud. Especially it's an international competition. You're facing different universities from different places around the world, and you're coming at such high places in the competition. It's something to be proud of. Yeah.
Amazing. How do you feel?
I feel proud of myself, of my university. It was a nice chance to present the University of Bahrain and an international competition. Also, I would like to thank University of Bahrain, our department, Chemical Engineering Department, especially Dr. Majid, the head of the department, who helped us to register in this competition, and he was always here. Also, he specified one of the doctors, Dr. Sabri Miraid. He was the supervisor of our team. He was always there. If we have any question, we always go for him. That's all. Also, I would like to thank my family, my friends for their continuous support.
Right.
Achieving this achievement.
Well, big shout out to the University of Bahrain and to all of your friends and families for, being your backbone to make this happen. Pretty much it's a lot of stress at some point, right?
Yeah.
Batul, how do you feel about this?
I would say I'm feeling really proud of my team first before being proud of myself, because we all did it as a team. If we didn't stick together, we wouldn't do it.
Right.
So achieving such a thing in a short period and with all that stress, I think that's a great thing to be proud of.
Definitely. You are absolutely right. So to wrap this up right now, tell us, after the competition, what is the future like for you guys? I'm sure after the competition you have a wider variety of things to think about, a different mindset. So what is the future like? If I will start with you, Batul.
I would say I would like to go more with the same field, because it's a new field in Bahrain where youth can participate and see about how the actual world and how actually we're gonna run these plants. So it would be really great to practice in a safe environment.
Definitely. Saifullah?
Yeah.
Any future plans after this? Maybe you want to open your own agency, maybe something like that?
Yeah, actually, I'm really looking for first to graduate from my
Step one, yeah.
Yeah, step one, graduation, inshallah. And I'm looking to continue my master degree and inshallah doctorate.
Awesome.
I'm really I want to give something to my field, my chemical engineering science. For example, inshallah I will do my best to maybe one of the days develop a new process, a new technique. That's my big dream, inshallah.
Awesome.
Just I wanted to give this to this chemical engineering science.
Okay, and if you ever do that, remember me, okay? It's like, hey, we had the interview here, remember that time we actually talked about it? We're gonna have another interview with you, how about that? It's like, yeah, I'm exclusive. Awesome, man, looking forward to that. Mahmoud, future plans?
Continuous development, that was a big achievement for us, for our team, for our university. Now we'll just look to develop and share the knowledge we got from this competition. We have benefit a lot from this competition, so we're going to share it with our colleagues, with anyone who wants to learn more. We're going to share this knowledge in order to develop our society.
Amazing, amazing. Well, any last words to your viewers? Batul?
I would say a word for the young youth, especially students in our field. They get lots of stress. I would say never underestimate your powers. If you have a dream, go after it and work hard for it. You will nail it. And then I would like to thank you for having us today. It was our pleasure. We are grateful to have this opportunity to talk about our experience.
The pleasure is all ours, actually. We're super proud to have you here today on the show. Saifullah.
Yeah, thank you.
Last words.
Just I would like to say for all chemical engineering students, always try to understand everything and university, everything you study, try to understand it. Why? Because understanding makes everything easy. Later on, when you go to industry, not only through your computer simulation software, no, in the real industry, you always need to have a clear understanding of all the concepts, of all what you have learned in your journey during the university. That's why I would say for them, always try to understand everything from beginning till the end.
Okay.
Understanding makes everything easier later.
All right, solid advice. I wish somebody told me that earlier.
Thank you.
Mahmoud.
Like for me, I would say nothing is impossible. Like until you try, nothing is impossible. If you say it's impossible, then you still didn't try. You have to try. You have to work hard for it. Like it's an international competition, and we were able to achieve this place. Like why you can't achieve your dreams? Like nothing is impossible with hard work. And also, if you're certain about something that you want to achieve, just put your focus on it. Don't let others distract you. Don't let anybody get you down from achieving your dream. And finally, I would like to thank you first of all for having us during this interview. It was such a pleasure to share our experience and knowledge to the youth out there and anyone who's interested in this field. Second of all, I would like to thank anyone who has supported us and trusted our abilities, from the department to our friends to our family. I'd like to especially thank my team members, Hood and Ali, who are not here, but they're in our hearts. I'd like to thank them for achieving this achievement.
Well, definitely, most definitely, and you're most welcome, and we're super proud having you here on the show. Thank you so much for being part of Bahrain Now in today's episode. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Never underestimate your power. Try to understand things, and possibly, and all of that definitely with never ever give up on your dreams, and nothing is impossible. All that took place with our students from the Chemical Engineering Department of Bahrain University right here on Bahrain Now. Under the patronage of Sheikh Mohammed bin Al Khalifa, the President of the Executive Office of the High Committee for the Care of People with Disabilities, and in presence of the Executive Director of Finance and Administration at the Bahrain Paralympic Committee, Sheikh Ahmed bin Salman Al Khalifa, the World Disability Union, the WDU, awarded organizations that are accredited with the WDU certificate for places accessible for people with disabilities. We're delighted to have with us in the studio Fajir Al-Binali, World Disability Union Assessment and Certification Committee member and Sports to Door founder and CEO. Well, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Bahrain. Very well, thank you. And thank you for having me here again.
Oh, definitely. We cannot have enough of you. There's a lot going on in your life, right?
Definitely
a lot of achievements,
flattered.
and we're proud of that. So tell us more about the whole thing with Initiativity.
So the World Disability Union is a non-profit organization which accredits places which are accessible for people with disability. It's based in Sharjah in the UAE, and it has member countries from all over the world. When I first got to know them, I was linked to them through an instructor friend of mine because of my role as a Taekwondo coach for para-athletes. So when I initially established a relationship with them, it was in the capacity of a person who is supporting people with disability. And then I got to know more and more about them and what they do, and they got to know as well more about me and what I do in terms of supporting athletes with disability. And so I was actually proposed to kickstart the accreditation process in Bahrain, because it hasn't happened before. And I said absolutely yes right away. It's something which I have a huge passion for from a very little age. It bodes well with what I do in terms of developing Taekwondo for para-athletes. So I accepted, and that's how we started the whole process. It all happened around a month ago.
Wow.
And that's when I got to know that there was going to be an official visit from the World Disability Union, and they were interested in assessing a number of venues in Bahrain. So we had to propose a few names, and we had to see which venues were, in a good state of being accredited. And just to tell you a little bit about the accreditation process,
Please.
Yeah, it involves a minimum of 3 members of the Assessment and Certification Committee, and the president of this committee needs to be present as amongst those who are assessing the venues. He is actually the General Secretary of the World Disability Union, and he himself is a wheelchair user.
Okay.
So this ensures that when we go to the venues and give them the final, okay, and accredit them, that it comes from a very reliable source.
Definitely. Wow. So this is going to change a lot of things in Bahrain.
Well, hopefully. That's our target, really. The benchmark is Sharjah City. It's a disability-friendly city, and what that means is that 80% of its venues are accessible for people with disability. Now, what we've been trying to establish here in Bahrain with the first batch of places which we've accredited is accreditation for physical disability.
Okay.
But at the same time, we try to also lay the building blocks for other impairments like hearing and visual impairments.
Right.
The very basic needs, really. But it's mostly accessibility for wheelchair users that we've focused on. And we do rate venues based on a 3-level rating system. So there's gold, silver, and bronze. And the whole spirit of accreditation is essentially built on 3 main principles.
Okay.
The first is independence of access. So you want the person who is like a wheelchair user to be able to, or any other kind of mild disability, to be able to access with independence the building and make use of all the facilities without any discrimination.
Right.
And also with safety considerations in mind. So this is what really the whole criteria is based on, in essence.
Well, just listening to what you've been going through and all of that, I can only imagine life got just a little bit busier for you right now, right?
Yes, but in a very good way, because
Definitely.
it's been really eye-opening for us, and definitely for the venues whom we have visited and assessed in Bahrain. So we've seen around 12 venues during a span of 10 days, less than 10 days really, which is
Wow.
a lot of work. And we've managed to accredit 8 of them, so that's like 2/3.
Wow.
Yeah. And the good thing is that they come from varying sectors. So we've seen places like commercial malls, Bahrain International Airport,
Okay.
public offices, and my club as a training facility.
Yes.
A school, Hawar International School, also was one of the venues we've accredited. And so out of those 8, we had 4 of them achieve gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze. So
Amazing.
it's been an amazing experience for all of us, I would say, and everyone was like really happy with the outcome of this process. And I can tell you, those who were below the gold are already working on getting the gold.
Well, such a beautiful story with all that been going on. And not only that, it's like as Bahrain right now will be even friendlier with people with challenging or disabilities. And it's just like, even though right now there's a lot of facilities that would help them, but even going further with that and having an assessment team, and a committee for all of this, it just shows how much we really care for just having an ecosystem in society that's
Right.
all together, having, a beautiful society.
Exactly.
Just, being active and all of this. But speaking of being active right now, what's happening with the dojo? It's now we have the taekwondo going on, the assessment. So what's happening there?
Actually, it's been an incredibly busy period for us on both sides, because we had this whole honoring ceremony for the World Disability Union
Right.
take place along the sidelines of the Bahrain 2021 Asian Youth Paralympic Games. So we've been, we sort of had like a foot on each side, and we had an athlete who participated actually. So I participated as a coach in this
Amazing.
continental championship, and at the same time I was running my role as a member of the assessment and certification committee for the World Disability Union. So things have been going really well. We're now in our Taekwondo dojang. We are home to around 20 athletes with varying types of impairments. It's mostly intellectual impairments and disorders. The majority is Down syndrome cases, but we also have ADHD and autism. And we also have practitioners with hearing
Right.
impairments and physical impairments. It's been going really well for us. We're actually the first martial arts club in Bahrain to sign an agreement with a registered disability society, the Bahrain Down Syndrome Care Center. We are also the first martial arts club with established international results. We've participated over the last 2 years during COVID in over 10 online competitions with our para-athletes.
Wow.
We've clinched over 50 medals,
Wow.
so it's been really amazing. We've grown so much over a very short span of time. In the Bahrain 2021 AYPG Asian Youth Paralympic Games, we actually managed to get one of our athletes to classify. He's the first Bahraini with an approved eligible impairment, let's say, in para taekwondo, and he managed also to pocket a gold during this participation. So it's been going really well for us. And but we also recognize that a lot of the athletes we train, or just to mention on the side, we train both.
I can only imagine right now, you know, the schedule.
So yeah, it's a very busy schedule, and especially because we train athletes without impairments, like regular athletes, and we also train athletes with disabilities. So we kind of cater to both. So we have separate days for each type of practitioners, and we also recognize that not all like practitioners are, you know, like athlete projects. Some of them are not cut out to become competitive or you know, like compete at an international level, but we do recognize the importance of providing them with opportunities and initiatives that will enable them to take an active part and also feel that sense of achievement and progress. So we kind of organize inter-club competitions. We have voluntary training sessions with other countries over Zoom.
Amazing.
We do all sorts of activities. Actually, I would like to take this opportunity as well to thank the Traditional Maritime Sports Committee for inviting us to participate in the Heritage Club for Traditional Rowing a few days ago. We had some of our para-athletes participate in that championship, so it was a very good activity for them to blend, you know, with and try out different activities and also get that TV exposure and the opportunity to wave at Sheikh Nasser. So it was so we try to be active on a number of fronts, not only as we don't see ourselves as a competitive as purely as a competitive internationally competitive sports club or a commercial club. We do have a very high sense of social responsibility when we carry out all sorts of all parts of our business.
Wow. It's like at that point when you said we're trying to be active, I'm like, she's trying with all of that going on. Can I suggest something if you don't mind?
Please go ahead.
Let's say 2 years before you decide to retire, can we make a documentary about you?
I would be delighted.
You know,
why would I say no?
It's like, you know, we're going to call it the Fajir.
Oh my God.
And that's because everything you've been doing from Taekwondo and winning yourself as well, being an athlete and a Taekwondo master, and now doing the, you know, the care and the high committee itself, and all that amazing things you've been very much helping with the society and the people with, you know, with challenges and disabilities. It's just like, wow, there's a lot going on. So what's your future plans? What do you have going on? Or pretty much this is more than enough right now?
Actually, the way we see it is that it's the beginning, really, because we've opened these doors. There are still more doors to be opened, and with the doors we've opened, there's still much more to be done. And what I would really like to explore as a next step is the rehabilitative dimension of Taekwondo, because there are a number of studies and controlled experiments which have been performed and have proved to be really beneficial. So it's something that I'm very keen on understanding at the moment, and trying to see if we can draw from the outcomes of these sort of studies and apply them here in Bahrain. I would also like to develop a deeper understanding of the legislative side of things when it comes to the laws in Bahrain with regards to accessibility for the disabled, because this sort of ties well with what I'm doing with the World Disability Union, and see if we can work together with different authorities to sort of like expedite the whole process and make Bahrain a more disability accessible country.
Beautiful. So I guess right now we're going to book you for another 3 episodes in that case. You know, talking about, you know, specifically each area you've been just talking about. So amazing. Any last words to your viewers and advice, a line, anything you would like to say?
Well, our doors are always open for anyone who wants to put their hands, you know, with us and join us in our journey. Whether be it in terms of like sports or with the accessibility, you know, folder that I'm working on right now with the World Disability Union. And I just wanted to add, like, for people who are hearing us and who may be interested, because I did get a lot of calls after the honoring ceremony, including the healthcare sector, who wanted to collaborate with us and make, you know, their facilities more accessible to the disabled. The World Disability Union is a non-profit organization. There are no fees at all associated with obtaining this accreditation. The only charges which a venue may incur is is directly related to any modifications which they need to implement to make their place more accessible and to meet the criteria of the World Disability Union. It may be a couple of things only that you need to do in your building, but it will make such a huge difference in terms of like the accessibility of individuals. And it may be like a little bit of an investment now, but over the long term, it's really going to make a difference. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact us on info@worlddisabilityunion.com, and we're happy to help. I would also like to thank Sheikh Mohammed bin Adai Al Khalifa for supporting us in this initiative. The whole honoring ceremony was under his patronage, and also His Excellency Dr. Tariq bin Khadim for gracing us with his presence in Bahrain and honoring all the entities who managed to attain the certification. And that's it really, and thanks for having me, Bara. It's been a pleasure.
Definitely. Well, Fajir, it's always a pleasure and honor having you with us here on Bahrain TV, but it's not going to be the last one. We still have, what, 3-4 more episodes to catch up with your amazing achievements coming up?
I'm here anytime for you.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being with us right here on Bahrain Now.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thanks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was it. Fajir in a mission to make Bahrain more accessible for the challenge and with the disability. All that took place right here on Bahrain Now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for another great episode of Bahrain Now. As usual, be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below, and stay tuned for more exciting segments on Bahrain Now. This was Bara Abdallah. Till next time, Bahrain, goodbye and God bless.